Hello, everyone. This is Travis.
And this is Jonathan.
And welcome to the 100 Ways to Love a Cat podcast.
It's the podcast that eventually plays the song 100 Ways to Love a Cat.
Every single episode.
There's not one of these that I challenge you to find one.
You can go back and look.
Where we don't play the song, but we do. We play it every time.
That's what we're here for. That's what we're going to do. If we tell you we're going to do something, we're going to do it. That's just the kind of guys that we are. We're not going to put half-truths out into the world. There's enough of those already, so I'm not going to help contribute to it.
I guess I just want to come clean.
What?
I just want to make sure that I do what I can when I promise to do. You know how they say overpromise and underpromise?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess some people say overpromise and underdeliver. But that seems to me to be a bad recipe. What I'm saying is, and I think conventional wisdom says, underpromise and overdeliver. And so I just want to make sure that
everybody's getting extra.
Sometimes I do white lies. Sometimes I lie to save people's feelings. Sometimes I lie out of convenience. Sometimes I lie just because I feel like it. So I don't know 100% of the time. Am I going to be honest? I can't say that. I mean, I do want to say that when it comes to this podcast,
yes,
and we say that we're going to play the song, we're going to play the song. I just like I'm being probably over honest right now, but
see, that's my point right there. Nobody's perfect. First off, Jonathan, let's make that clear. Everybody,
I've told some whoppers
lies. Whether it's a white lie or something you have to lie about.
Like, what would that be? Because this might help me feel better if I.
Well,
if
I don't
think
want
back
to. But if I say that, I don't mean to encourage anyone to lie. That's not what we're discussing. But when if it's, say, something that you could lose your job over, or something that you could get in trouble with your medical bills or disability checks or something. You know what I mean? Like situations like that, like where there's taxes, so much on the line.
When you're saving money on your taxes.
Yes.
Or when
you're in a position where, like, I either have to say this or I could really be in a lot of trouble. I think in situations like that.
Did you take this from the store? Well, I did, but I'm not going to tell you that.
Because they would...
You're going to get in trouble.
Exactly. So in those instances, you shouldn't... Well, first off, let's make it clear that you shouldn't put yourself... Or you should try not to put yourself in a position where you are forced to lie. But sometimes other people put you in that position.
Sometimes other people do it. Yes,
it's not you. It's not you. I'm not trying to get in a situation where I'm going to have a lawyer and I'm going to have to make installments or payments to make up for something. I didn't plan on that. It's the other person that demands, that I be in that situation, that puts me in that situation, and I have no choice.
So much of lying is caused by other people backing you into a corner that I don't know that lying is... It gets a bad reputation.
It does. There's nothing else you can do when somebody puts you in that position.
Did you take the meat out to defrost so we can have it for dinner?
Right.
Yes, I did. Why is it still on the shelf in the freezer? I don't know, Mother. Maybe you put it back in there.
Right.
Now, whose fault is that?
If she put it back in there, then it's her fault.
She didn't.
I
didn't take it out.
And then you forgot.
She asked me
well,
if I did.
Well, what happened after you said that? Was everything okay? Did she just take it out? And
she got confused and didn't know if she did or didn't.
Well, what happened as far as dinner is concerned?
I just went out to Arby's.
Well, see, everyone was fed. And the other aspect of that is that you have that frozen meat for later. So you actually, because of your lie, it's you know what I mean? Now it's like what do you call?
A bonus.
You're prepared for dinner.
Let me tell you two things that would have happened here. She would have flown off the handle, and nobody needs to deal with that.
Right.
That's on her.
Well,
the other thing is, and people say Arby's, and people say McDonald's, and people say all the other ones. What's another one? Does Wendy's still have squares?
Wendy's. I haven't been to Wendy's in so long. There's Wendy's.
Well, they closed all the ones around here, so I guess that's why I'm wondering.
Well, yeah, I haven't been to one in a long time. They did not do well here. I didn't dislike Wendy's, but they never could keep a Wendy's store open in our neck of the woods anyway. You had to drive a little ways.
It was distasteful to the people here, and maybe this is a regional thing, but to try to make money by putting a little girl's picture.
I think that really rubbed people the wrong way. Like a clown, that's fine. A bell. Just a bell,
whatever Arby's is.
Yeah, but it is exploitive a bit.
That's how it felt, and people around here were like, "Why even do that?"
Yeah,
and people were, "Well, there's nothing to it. It's just what it is."
I don't think they meant anything by it. I should make that clear. Well, but you don't. But you're left to It's like, and of course, if they were put in a position, if Wendy's was, let's say, was trying to send a message out. I don't know what that would be by putting a little girl out there. And then people come to Wendy's and say, did you do it are you exploiting that? Are you putting that young girl out to
What are they going to say?
They're not going to admit to that.
Right.
You're right. We're right back where we started.
And I think maybe that's a regional thing, maybe why we feel this way, because when we had the town meetings, I think that was the decision we came to. We said, we're never going to get a clear, direct answer from these Wendy's people about what they're implying and what they're trying to get us to do or put in our heads.
And that's nothing against them. If there was no intent with using the redheaded girl, that's not to accuse. That's fine. But
they're gonna lie about it. If we asked them, and we said, shut them down.
How could they not? Well, that's what we did. Yeah,
shut them down, and we did that, and they're not here anymore.
And we went, and I like Wendy's. Okay, it's nothing. It's not about this. None of this is about the food. Let me make that clear. It's not about the food. I like the French fries. I liked. When they used to have a baked potato bar that I really liked a lot.
Not anymore.
No. Well, not here. No.
We went up and we said, okay, climb up to the top of the Harcourt building. And we all did and said, how many states can you see from here? And they said 3. I said, we're going to if you can see it from here, we're going to shut it down. And there's not a Wendy's within that 3-state radius.
You have to drive a long, you're looking
and then
at
what
a
are you
full
really,
day drive.
Who drives that far? And what are you driving for? Ask yourself that. Like, I don't want to rehash ancient history. We got rid of them. Good riddance to bad rubbish, I say.
Well, I don't mind the food, and being that it's still ambiguous I guess that's bad enough if it is ambiguous, if you're using a child and it's ambiguous. In any way, that is a negative, that is a strike against you as far as I'm concerned.
I can get a hamburger and not look at a little girl at a bunch of different restaurants.
Right.
We came to that decision as a down to a person in this town, and we inflicted our will upon the others when we climbed up to the Harcourt building, and we said they're going to be happy for it later, and they are, as far as I know.
White Castle. Why couldn't you have a name like that? That is not
fun. It's a knight. It's a dragon.
Yeah, exactly.
Whew! I get worked up over these things.
Well, it wasn't. This is recent history we're discussing. This was a big deal around here. I support you and your movement. I do.
Well, if you want a Wendy's, I guess you can drive over to...
Well, I'm not going to do that. If I had to go somewhere anyway, like if I had to, say, drive, you're looking at a full day's. Let's just say right now, it is a day's worth of on the road, nonstop driving. Stop for gas. You're going to take some time. But,
yeah.
If I was going that way anyway for, say, something else, if I wanted to go there to, play, what are the stores with the? You go in and you play it's like a paddle. You go anyway,
like a Donkey Kong.
Let's just say that.
Spin the wheel.
Let's just say that. Let's just say that's the only place I can play Donkey Kong.
Over in Thorny Meadows.
Yes, and if I'm already there and there's a Wendy's, sure, I may have.
Listen.
Just because, and it's not so much like I miss it, but because it's not available, it's kind of like it's always something unique and different. So in
Thorny
some ways,
Meadows is the closest Wendy's.
In some ways, it's helpful to Wendy's if you think about it that way, because people, what's this? What's Wendy's? And let's say they don't focus on the young girl. Let's try this.
Well, how would we know? That's my question to Thorny Meadows, and that's why we've been talking to them. So I guess what I would say is if you live in Thorny Meadows and you need a Frosty that bad for whatever reason, you might want to get one pretty soon because things are underway. Plans are underway. Plans have begun to move. So
again, I support your movement. If it's
it's
worthy,
not my movement.
It's a worthy cause.
A lot of people got together.
No, you should take credit where credit is due. You were a big part of this. I think you were the first one up there.
I guess this is what I say when it's. Do you lie? Yes, everyone lies. Am I going to be honest 100% of the time? No, I'm not. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. People lie. They steal. They cheat. And they cover it up with lies. I don't need another thing making everybody worse people than they already are. So just get rid of those things. That's how I look at it.
Oh.
And even if it's not really that bad, we're never going to know for sure. So let's focus on those things instead of on yourself that you can't change, and you're just going to beat your head on the wall like, oh, I lied again, I stole another thing, whatever. Who cares? Get rid of the things you can control, like Wendy's. We got rid of all of those. That was great.
And whether you agree or disagree with that, say, philosophy of life,
it's just fun to join in.
It's still an interesting and fascinating thing to talk about, I will say.
Agreed.
All right, let's play. We've done enough talking. Let's play 100 Ways to Love a Cat. I know you've been waiting for it.
There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 1. Keep a tidy house for them. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 2. Be sure to clip their claws. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 3. Scoop their box daily. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 4. Brush them with a hairbrush. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 5. Don't squeeze their paws hard. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 6. Give them some fresh water. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 7. Let them have a fish. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 8. Buy them a scratching post. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 9. Put them in your lap. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 10. be quiet when they're sleeping. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 11. Whisper, I love you. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 12. Rub their soft belly. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 13. Make sure their tail is clean. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 14. Give them a yarn ball. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 15. Make them a nice bed. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 16. Buy him some catnip. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 17. Play them some music. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 18. Get them a cute collar. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 19. Make sure they're vaccinated. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 20. Take their picture. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 21. Brush their teeth. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 22. Let them watch TV. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 23. Don't let them be outside by themselves. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 24. Feed them some cat food. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. ways. Wait, 25. Make sure their eyes are clean. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 26. Put a liner in their box. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 27. Give them a mat to wipe their feet on. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 28. Don't forget them on Christmas. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 29. Make sure they're spayed or neutered. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 30. Hold them like a baby. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 31. Let them have a towel or blanket. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 32. Keep your toilet lid down. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 33. Don't let them chew on power cords. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 34. Set them by the window. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 35. Cat-proof your home. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 36. Change their litter weekly. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 37. Praise them lavishly. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 38. Never feed him chicken bones. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 39. Teach them a funny trick. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 40. Give them a toy mouse. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 41. Clean up their hairballs. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 42. Keep them away from candles. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 43. Give him a separate zone. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 44. Never play with them aggressively. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 45. Increase his cuddle time. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 46. Be sure to watch his weight. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 47. If you leave, turn on the radio. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 48. Scold him firmly but with kindness. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 49. Respond when he meows. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 50. Give them a thing of cat grass. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 51. Scratch under his chin. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 52. Remind him that you love him. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 53. Give them a box to play in. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 54. If they're old, help them get down. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 55. Let them lick you with their rough tongue. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 56. record precious memories. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 57. Dress them up in ribbons. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 58. Give them a flea treatment. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 59. Make a vet appointment. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 60. Give them a little wet food. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 61. When they scratch you, don't get angry. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 62. Give them some private time. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 63. Treat them with respect. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 64. When he grooms himself, say good job. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 65. Let them chase a laser pointer. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 66. Clean out their ears. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 67. Never smoke around them. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 68. Buy a sturdy cat carrier. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 69. Listen to them purr. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 70. Dented by temptations. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 71. Give them your full attention. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 72. Don't trap them in the laundry basket. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 73. Let them sleep in bed with you. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 74. Make sure they're not locked in the closet. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 75. Don't let them play in plastic bags. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 76. Give them a massage. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 77. Touch him as you pass by. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 78. If he's on the couch, don't be mad. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 79. If they hate fans, turn the fan off. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 80. When there's a bird outside, say, hey, look. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 81. Intrigue them with a funny sound. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 82. Don't forget sardine time. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 83. Let him play with your old socks. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 84. Stroke in the direction that his fur goes. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 85. Admire his long whiskers. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 86. keep his box away from his food. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 87. Pretend that he's a piano. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 88. Don't interrupt them while they're eating. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 89. When they're scared, go and comfort them. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 90. Let him have a lick. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 91. If their breath stinks, give them greenies. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 92. Give him a ball with a bell in it. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 93. If it's hot, put ice in their bowl. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 94. Let him drink out of the sink. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 95. Don't vacuum if it scares him. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 96. Draw a picture of him. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 97. If you drop some food, it's theirs now. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 98. Read him a book. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 99. Feed him again. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 100. Just love them every day. 100 loving ways. 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 love, to love, to love. Okay. 100 ways to love a cat.
Jonathan, I wanted to ask you, and I'd also like to ask our listeners out there, when you listen to 100 Ways to Love a Cat, do you count with the song?
Wait, do people not?
No, I'm asking you and other people. Some people may not. Some people may not.
Oh, yes, I do. I count
Well,
down.
there are some people who like to sing along, and there are some people who like to listen. So I'm not saying there's a right or wrong thing to do. And sometimes I don't necessarily count along with the song out loud. I kind of do it under my breath, kind of like
Right.
4,
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2,
7.
3.
You know,
Yeah.
but it's just to myself. No, I'm not bothering anybody else in the room when you do something like that.
What I used to do, and we've heard this song so many times, but what I used to do is I would, you know how a prisoner or a man on a beach island who's deserted makes the mark and the mark and the mark and then a slash?
Castaway.
Yeah. I do that. That's how I used to count. I'd be like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 slash. 1, 2,
like
3,
you're
4
all alone somewhere,
slash.
and this is just for you.
And it's just keeping me abreast of where the number is.
Right.
And then I could look back and count, because those are five at a
They're 5 at a time. 5, 10,
at a
15,
time.
20. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'd be like, okay, I've still got 75 ways to go.
Right. Nothing better than that.
So
That's what I like so much about the length of the song, is because most songs get to a point where you're like, well, that was a great song, but it's over now. And this one's like, this thing is still going.
songs are supposed to be short. People forget that, but DJs used to say, "What is it, over 2 minutes?" No way.
Right.
And then a few people like Led Zeppelin said, well, let's sing Stairway to Heaven and make it 7 minutes or 11 minutes or however long it is.
They really did. And we don't mention them much as an influence, but I would, since you brought it up, we are big Led Zeppelin fans. If they broke those doors down where you could play a 7-8 minute song, we would not have thought to have gotten to 35 minutes if it weren't for pioneers like Led Zeppelin.
And DJs used to have time to get down to the bathroom. That's
right.
Something people don't talk about. And
They
so
were
they'd
like,
say,
what
well,
am I? You're not going to play a 2-minute song. You know, I'm not going to, you know, I've got to be in there for a while, or, you know, if that's the case. And
it's not always the case. But.
no, sometimes I'm sure a 3-minute song would work fine, but sometimes, you know, we're human, things happen. If you have to go to the bathroom and stay in there for you know ahead of time, like, this is going to take a while.
Here's the thing. If you've got 2 minutes to play a song and then get back and go to the bathroom, and maybe the bathroom's down the hall, where's the key? You got to find the key.
Right.
Oh, and then you wash your hands. And
Add
then,
all of that.
and dry your hands on paper towel. There's no paper towels. Well, I got to go to the kitchen, get some paper towels, dry my hands. Come back to the bathroom, restock the paper towels. Then I got to run down the hall. Is the song over? Oh, it's been off for 5 minutes now.
Yeah.
Dead air.
Dead air. You can't, you would lose your job. You can't do that. So you had to find a song that would last a period of time. If you were going to, all of what you said, plus just whatever issue may keep you in there for a while, you had to find a Led Zeppelin song.
Yeah, totally. 100%.
You could not, if it weren't for Led Zeppelin, there would be a lot of DJs with crossed legs, if you know what I'm saying.
So, Led Zeppelin, thanks again for everything. Wendy's, no.
Well, not around here. That's for sure.